First thing I like to say is, a lot of times you're going to see me in this shirt. It's because they had sold them for 99 cents after the St. Patrick's Day was over. So I bought 20 of them because I'm a mechanic. I get oil all over me. So it's not that I'm wearing the same exact shirt every day. I have 20 of them. If you notice, some have nicer, brighter letters on them than others. So there you go. If you're wondering, does this guy wear the same shirt every single day? It's tough to dress nice when you're a mechanic. Everywhere you go, you got friends, whatever. You get oil on your hands. You get oil all over your clothes. Everything I do is use cars. So it's like I gave up on wearing nice Hollister stuff unless, I got a couple shirts. I got a private closet with a couple shirts when I go out and stuff like that. I don't worry about it normally because it's not going to happen. You could be spending... Every time I put a nice shirt on, I'm under a car. Anyway, my buddy John that I basically was living with me when I was a freshman in college. He'd go home and come back and anything anyway. We were drinking a lot and everything else. And I started a job as a cart pusher to make ends meet there while I was selling cars and everything else and going to college. Anyway, I'm going to college to be an auto mechanic, which I've already told you in another video. So it got us thinking about stories. And he told me that I should probably point the camera at myself when I'm talking because the other stories weren't that good unless I'm using my mannerisms and stuff, which I see in my head. But we're not going to get into all that. When I listen back to my stories, I can see my own mannerisms in my head. So I think the story's better than it is because I'm not giving the full picture if you're not seeing me talk about it. But I don't like to be on camera like this, really. I don't. But I'm going to have to. All that said and done, I just wasted 2 minutes of your time. Anyway, here's the story. I got another cart pusher with me I meet, and I don't want to give his name. I'm going to call him Ha Ha. It's an Asian dude, young kid, cool kid. He's got a car, a B.M.W. 325. Loves it. 5-speed, all leather interior. Beautiful car. And this was back when that was the hot ticket. And he absolutely loved this car. To the point where he had a car cover in his garage. He covered it in his garage with a car cover. And I'm a bragger. Out back then I was a braggadocious, I'd say I could do anything, even if I probably thought I could, So, I don't know. I don't think that I ever thought I couldn't do something until I got myself into it, and then it was a little too late. That's kind of how I always been. Anyway, me and my buddy go over there once in a while to Ha Ha's house after work and stuff, and or on lunch break and everything, and he keeps pestering me about how he can add more horsepower to the car, and I always say, I don't want to touch it, And I really didn't. I did not want to touch this car because I know myself, and back then I was drinking a lot, and I do not want to touch anybody's car, especially somebody I got to work with, because if something goes wrong, it's not going to be a good situation. There's no way to... So I just stay away. Plus, it's a B.M.W. on top of it, okay? And at the time, I wasn't even familiar with, wiring schematics, and this was back before you could access information like that on Google. You could try. Anyway, me and my buddy John are drinking at the apartment one time. And I'm pretty liquored up, so I'm going to be easier to maneuver into a position that I probably shouldn't get myself into. And Ha Ha calls and says, hey, I ordered this thing he saw on the internet for $200, and it was supposed to hook up to the mass airflow sensor. Okay, if you know nothing about cars, it's going to tell the computer a certain reading, right? So that it would say that the car is colder than it was, so that it back in the day, so that it would give him 15 or 20 horsepower, he thought, or whatever. He's like, do you think you could hook up this chip to the car for me? And I said no. I remember saying no, but John says that I probably went along with. I was drinking at the time, and I wanted to be a big shot. I said, all right. Anyway, he talked me into it, right? Man, and I got to work with this guy, right? So I'm like, whatever. I'm going to be the hero. I'm gonna be the fucking hero. I'm gonna soup this guy's car up. Awesome. This is awesome, right? That's what I'm thinking. So we set it up that he comes over to the apartment, and I'm hungover to start with the next day. I mean, I am hungover. Me and John must have drank every night. That's what we did. We were just young guys. I mean, you know what I mean? I must have been 20, 21. I don't know. He must have been 19, whatever. We were drinking. And here he comes with this flashy BMW, all excited to install this chip. And I go on Google, and this is so far back, like I told you. I thought, because I'm not familiar with BMWs, and the wiring diagram. So got the hood open. I got the hood open, and I'm checking out the mass airflow sensor, and the wiring kit he gave me said that obviously it had a red and a black for an American car, and this is foreign. This is German, right? And I'm like, I don't know. I know where the mass airflow sensor is. I had no idea. There's 4 wires on his car, and back then on the American models they had 4 wires, but there was a clear red and a clear black, right? And I'm like, well, we'll go online and look up the wiring diagram and see if we can't find it. And I didn't think we would. Well, we found information on it, and we seemed fairly confident that the red wire hooks up to the purple, and the black hooked up to the green, right? Because it was 4 different weird colors, and I thought, what's the worst could happen, right? What's the worst could happen? And John knew right away. He just gets instincts with me where he's like, when I'm BSing and stuff, because he drinks with me, and he knew me all these years, and you could just see him. I looked over at John. I had the hood up, and I had all the wire cutters out and everything. And I looked over at him, and you could just see he was looking down, and he was just like this. He could just tell. He just knew this wasn't going to go. Something was about to happen, And I'm like, oh, what's the worst could happen? We're going to pop a fuse, right? What's the worst could happen? We're going to pop a fuse, and big deal. We find out that I hooked up the wires wrong. No problem, right? This is what I'm thinking, right? Anyway, I got my wiring diagram. I snipped the wires, the 2 wires, right? I'm hooking in this sensor, okay? In these 2 wires, right? As you can see back here. I hooked these 2 wires together, right? I'm talking not the moment I touch these fucking 2 wires together, all you see is 2 red. It's like it sucked the fucking wires right onto the harness. The whole thing started glowing red. I'm trying to beat it, right? I'm trying to beat it with the fucking my hands, and it's just too hot. It burnt the wires started getting so hot. The wires were so hot because it was in the main harness on the car. I don't know if you're familiar with car wiring. The main harness was so thick, and the wire, it just took off, right? Didn't pop a fuse at all. Later, I find out there's no fusing in that system on a BMW that year, right? The whole fucking car, everything it melted the wires, and we're talking within I'm talking, you've never seen fucking red wires like this in your entire life. I'm telling you right now. You say, switch your bullshit. No, I'm not. We're talking thousands of wire, all red, the whole thing. And I'm just looking at it in shock, and I look back, and Johnny's just looking at me, and he's shaking his head like, I knew this shit was about to happen, and he's by the door shaking his head, and is just fucking, he's just fucking shook, he's just fucking shook, and I'm trying not to laugh. You're so fucking, you're like, you can't believe what you just did, that you just fucking though my only instinct was to laugh, and I felt so fucking bad. I looked at Johnny, and Johnny looked at me and shaking his head, and I just started fucking laughing. I couldn't even control it, and it wasn't even because it was funny. It was because I was just in such shock, and they're just laughing. And this poor guy, this car just melted right then and there. The whole fucking wire and harness melted, just melted right to the ground. I'm talking, it must have been It must have been thousands of degrees. Thousands. Not hundreds. Not a little fucking spark like you see in a house. I'm talking it fouled all the rubber on the wires. All the wires. Because once one wire melted, it melted another wire that melted another. The whole fucking engine went up. I mean, just up and just poof. And I'm talking, it was so hot we had to stand back. It was so fucking hot, so fast that we had to stand back, and I was afraid it was going to start the apartment on fire that I'm living in, right? And this poor guy is just in utter shock. Just in shock. I mean, we tried talking to him, and then every time I looked at my buddy John, he gets me laughing. I'm just trying not to laugh, but I'm so embarrassed or whatever it was that I just couldn't stop laughing. And oh my God, it was just the worst experience. Now, he had his mom call me then. They left the car. And he's got his mom calling me to pay for it, right? Saying, in Asian, screaming at me. And I can't afford, I couldn't, you know? And I got to work with this guy, right? So anyway, I avoid that situation. And I know I got to go back to work. I don't even have to work at the time for 3 days, so I've been just drinking, and John's been drinking with me, and I just look at him, and I'm just like, holy fuck, you know? Like, I just burnt this. Well, I probably said we did, and he said, no fucking way we did. You did. You burnt that guy's car to the ground. You. And that's true. I did. I burnt that fucking guy's car right to the ground. And, for 3 days, I was drinking. Like, what am I going to say to this guy? I got to work with him, right? Okay? So in 3 days, I don't want to make this story any longer. I don't even know if it's a funny story. It's just a whacked out story, really. All right, so I finally have to go to work, right? Face my demons. He's going to be... I didn't know what shift he worked, but I knew he'd probably be there. I didn't know. I pull in the parking lot in the back, you know? I'm like thinking to myself, this is going to be a rough day. I'm going to have to lie to him, you know. I'm going to have to tell this guy, yeah, I'll help you pay for it or something like that, you know. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm in the back of the parking lot smoking my cigarette, thinking I'll come up with a plan. It'll be all right. It's not a big deal. I'll give him a couple bucks. I'll try to help him out, you know, because it's my fault. Even though he begged me to do it. He did. He begged me. That's the truth. He'd admit that. He got me to do it. So that's why it's such a catchy situation, because I kept saying, I don't know, and he kept pressuring me to do it, and I finally gave in, and I burnt that son of a bitch right to the ground. I mean, right to the ground. I burnt that fucker right to the ground. Fire department didn't even have to show up because the motor and everything burnt out of it so fast it burnt out that there's no recovering it, and there wasn't even no flames no more. I mean, woof, it was fucking done. Anyway, I pull in there, and all of a sudden I see an old Toyota, like one of the minivans where you know it's I'm just watching. I'm not trying to be like, I'm not a racist at all. I'm not. But I seen that old minivan with that weird front, you know. I forgot what it's called. It's a Toyota. And when you see them, you just know. So I'm sitting there in my Jeep watching, you know, because I'm like, they're pulling right to the front by the manager's office. And I'm like, well, I better just fucking wait, you know. And I see a little Asian lady get out, like hot. Like, I see her hands like this already and moving. And she's going towards the manager office. And I'm like, oh, boy. And lo and behold, if not, get out of the right passenger door, you know, with his head down. And he's just crying. I mean, and we're adults. I mean, obviously he wasn't a kid. He was over 18. But his mom, I'm telling you, this poor kid was just crying. I mean, you could see I was halfway across the parking lot, and I could see him crying, you know, and I got bad eyes. I'm talking, he was screaming and crying about it, you know, and his mom was looking for me, you know, to say, listen, you're going to help pay for my son's car or whatever it was. Anyway, the story ends that I lost my job that day. I got right back in my Jeep, and I got the fuck out of there. I'm not going to lie to you. That's exactly what I did. I got the hell out of there, and that's the story of the time that I burnt down Ha's car. I mean, He loved it so much. He put it in the garage and he covered it, and it was to this day one of the worst days of my life. And the worst part about it, like I said, is for some reason my instinct was just I couldn't stop laughing because Johnny, just the shock in my buddy's face just was like, holy, like he saw a ghost, like a real one, like, whoof. Anyway, that's the story of how I destroyed somebody's car, and to this day I feel so horrible, and I haven't talked to him. And like I said, if I ever make enough money, I'd like to replace that car. I always keep my eyes open for that car, actually. I do. Like if it were to pop up for a reasonable price that I could fix it up and give them it as a present, because to this day, there's sometimes I'll try to go to bed at night and think, I was just a kid in my head now, I'm in my 30s now, but back then I was just, to me, 20-year-old's a young kid to me, but, hopefully one day I'll be able to make it right. I don't know if I will, though.